7 News exclusive, the I-Team has just uncovered more troubling details of D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's expensive trips around the world.
We discovered the nation of Qatar paid almost $62,000 for Bowser and 4 staff members to fly to the Middle East in 2023. Our Scott Taylor reports none of these trips have the detailed travel expense records required by law. And it comes as the mayor herself signed some pretty tough accountability and ethics rules for city leadership.
I just got a hold of a letter sent in February, a little over 2 months ago. It's from the mayor's office to the nation of Qatar, asking officials there to execute a donation agreement for a trip the mayor and her staff took in 2023. The problem? D.C. code requires that donation agreements need to be submitted and approved before a donation like the $61,000 junket can be accepted. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says she takes trips around the country and the world to promote and strengthen the district's economy. But the I-Team has discovered some pretty shoddy record-keeping around these visits. In fact, as far as we've been able to discover during our ongoing investigation, Mayor Bowser doesn't turn in any travel expense records at all. The district has no records for Bowser's trips to the Masters golf tournament in Georgia, or trips to Las Vegas, Miami, Mar-a-Lago, Dubai, or Doha in Qatar. That pricey trip to Qatar is the one we're focusing on here. The I-Team asked the mayor's office directly who paid for a trip to Dubai for a climate change conference. First, Susana Castillo, the mayor's director of communications, told 7 News in a July 9th, 2024 email the trip was paid for by the D.C. Chamber of Commerce. The chamber said, not true. Days later, Castillo told 7 News over the phone the U.S. Conference of Mayors picked up the tab. The Conference of Mayors had no comment and told us to talk to the mayor's office. Then comes this letter, which I obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request dated March of this year from the nation of Qatar to the mayor's office. It shows the nation of Qatar paid more than $61,000 for Mayor Bowser's trip to Doha in 2023, which included travel expenses for 4 staff members. Qatar called it an in-kind donation. The mayor and her team then jetted over to Dubai for the climate change conference. D.C. has no record of a donation agreement with Qatar, which is required by D.C. code. Now comes this letter from February, sent to officials in Qatar in the middle of our investigation. In it, the mayor's office asked for a breakdown of the mayor's 2023 trip expenses and the total tab covered by the Middle Eastern country. Bowser's office explains that such donations must be properly recorded, and a donation agreement will have to be executed. 7 News would like to know why the mayor's office is asking to create a donation agreement in 2025 for a trip she took in 2023, a situation which directly violates Mayor Bowser's own memorandum on rules of conduct governing donations that clearly requires each donation be submitted and approved by the Office of Partnership and Grant Services before the city can enter into a donation agreement. None of that happened for the mayor's trip in 2023. There's more. Any donation for travel outside of the United States must also be submitted and approved by the mayor's chief of staff, Lindsay Parker. Parker was one of the 4 staff members on the luxury jaunt to Qatar and Dubai. Parker did submit 1 receipt for the Dubai trip. It cost taxpayers $3,500 for a 3-night stay at the fabulous Atlantis Palm Hotel. You're looking at some pictures from the hotel's website right now. Here's what Mayor Bowser said the last time I asked her on camera about her poor travel record keeping. I'm asking this question at Scott Taylor 7 News because your office hasn't answered it. Can you explain why no department in the district has a copy of your travel expenses for your trips to Miami in 2022 and Dubai in 2023, and why did you exclude them from your financial disclosure records?
We're talking about the inaugural today, and we're happy to get back to you on any other questions.
I emailed a long list of questions to the mayor's office. Her communications director and chief of staff Parker called and asked me to discuss them off the record. I said no. That was the end of the call. For the I-Team, Scott Taylor, 7 News.
Welcome back. For months now, 7 News has been trying to get answers about who exactly has been paying for D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's globe-hopping travel, most notably a $61,000 junket to the Middle East along with 4 members of her staff.
In spite of stonewalling by the mayor's office, I-Team investigator Scott Taylor uncovered that tour was paid for by the government of Qatar and was never approved as required under city rules established by the mayor herself. Finally, this afternoon, the mayor answered our questions. So, Scott, what did she have to say?
She had a lot to say, guys. On Monday, I was ready to drop another bombshell on this story. The mayor's office was claiming a March letter from Qatar somehow met paperwork requirements which needed to be filed and approved before she took that pricey trip in 2023. But that letter is missing vital information required by her own policy. Today, she finally talked to me about it all on camera. Why were you not transparent in 2023 according to rules of your own memorandum in 2015 about obtaining a donation agreement before you traveled to Qatar?
We should have, but that donation agreement has been completed.
But the donation agreement doesn't even follow your own rules. It's just a letter. It's missing 2 answers to questions and isn't signed by 2 district officials. Have you let other donation agreements come in just from letters and no invoices?
Like I said, we typically do the donation agreements according to, our best practices.
So that was a mistake by your office?
It was.
Finally, the mayor being transparent about not following her own rules. Next hour, I'm going to be back right here with more on this. Mayor Bowser answers my questions about why her office gave the I-Team wrong information about who paid for that $60,000 trip. Not once, but twice. For the I-Team, Scott Taylor, 7 News.
From D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. At 5 o'clock, you saw her acknowledge to 7 News that she didn't follow her own rules before going on a $61,000 junket to the Middle East with 4 members of her staff. The I-Team's Scott Taylor has been working on this story for months now, and while he was investigating who pays for the mayor's globetrotting, her staff gave him bad information, not once, but twice. Scott, you asked her about that this afternoon as well.
I did, and the mayor stood there with all of us and answered my questions about this issue, including why her communication director gave us bad information about who paid for that trip to Doha and whether she's facing any kind of ethics investigation over these completely undocumented travels. Why did your communications director misinform us twice about who paid for the Middle East trip?
She must have had a misunderstanding.
My last question, are you under any type of ethics investigation because of your undocumented travel or your office?
No.
We really appreciate the mayor finally responding to our questions on this issue, but we're not stopping there. Holding elected leaders accountable for their decisions, policies, and actions are a big part of what we do on the I-Team. And we've got more great stories and investigations coming up.
We know you do. Thank you, Scott. You can see all of his extensive reporting on our website, WJLA.com. Earlier this year, I-Team investigator Scott Taylor first broke a story raising questions about D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's travel with several members of her staff to the nation of Qatar back in 2023.
The $61,000 junket was paid for by the government of Qatar, but as the mayor herself admitted to 7 News on camera, the paperwork and approvals required to accept such a lavish gift under the mayor's own rules were not filed. Thursday, referencing our investigation, the New York Times reported the mayor is under federal investigation over the trip.
But Axios is reporting that she is not. So we turn now to the man who started this ball rolling. Scott, what do you know?
Let's talk FBI. They told me today they can't confirm or deny any investigation. Fair enough. But the New York Times cited several sources which told them the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. was handling the investigation. So I went straight to the source, Jeanine Pirro. We all know she's the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. According to her office, she said, quote, Mayor Bowser is not under investigation, nor is she the target of any investigation. Now, here's what I do know. There is at least one ethics complaint filed against the mayor's office related to this junket. One. That case is still open. This morning, I tried to ask Mayor Bowser 2 questions. For context, Qatar bought a 5% stake in Monumental Sports a few months before the trip. Monumental owns the Capitals and the Wizards, and they operate Capital One Arena. I want to take you back to 2023. Can you explain your reasoning why you accepted $61,000 in travel from Qatar after it paid $4 billion to purchase 5% of Monumental Sports and Entertainment? Both appear now to be prohibited sources according to D.C. law. And then you brokered a $500 million deal to improve Capital One Arena with Monument and in part with Qatar.
Oh, I'm happy to talk about why we saved the Washington Capitals and the Washington Wizards for downtown Washington. It is anchoring our downtown comeback, and we're very pleased with that. So let me address your larger question that I've been talking to you about for 2 years. A business trip, a publicly noticed trip to promote Washington, D.C. in Qatar. That's what we did, and we don't have any bones about saying it.
My second question was about an ex-staffer the mayor's office said had reported the necessary paperwork for the trip was filed when in fact it hadn't been. Under the mayor's own rules, those documents had to be received and approved before anybody gets on a plane. Mayor, I had a second question.
I don't have any more time, I'm sorry.
I asked the same question to Chief of Staff Lindsey Parker, who is required to sign off on all foreign travel, but didn't. Hey, Lindsey. Hi. Can you tell me why you guys aren't naming the unnamed staffer?
Hey, do you have a right?
Can you tell me
That's
why?
fine. I think that's all we have to add for today.
The mayor's office says lawyers with the district have not been notified of any investigation. For the I-Team, Scott Taylor, 7 News.